Hey everyone, today's Zora here. I'm working on putting out a new video every week and a half, provided I have the time and the ideas for new videos. And provided nothing goes wrong, of course, like with the technical issues I had earlier. This week I was trying to decide on whether to do a favorite/least favorite Pokemon shippings or a best worst shinies list, but was having trouble deciding, so went for top 5 favorite Pokemon games list instead. I plan to work on those other two ideas as paired videos, so I hope you'll look forward to that. So with that long introduction out of the way, here are the best Pokemon games, in my opinion anyway. These are just the games I found the most enjoyable out of the games I've played, and as always, feel free to give me your top games in the comment section below. Starting off with number 5, Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire. For the most part, it's a very good remake, with many great new additions to the story and lore, improving underutilized characters such as Folly, who gets increased focus, and really fleshing out everyone in Team Aqua and Team Magma, introducing some way OP Megas, and making improvements such as being able to land on routes if you visited the surrounding cities. However, there are a few things that hurt the game in my opinion, like the lack of battle frontier. And yes, I know it's an RS remake, not an Emerald one, but even HGSS had many crystal elements added. So why not the battle frontier and the brains? Seriously, could you imagine if they did to Tucker what they did to Wallace? The battle facilities would also look really cool rendered in full 3D. We missed out when they opted to just give us the Battle Mason and the Shadowlands instead. Like, even if they didn't want to program the frontier, would it be so hard to just redesign a couple old characters, give them their old teams, and use them for the Mason instead? I also am not a fan of the Delta episode. While I do like Zinnia as an interesting character with a somewhat unexplored backstory, and for her great theme that sounds like something out of Kingdom Hearts, it was just tedious flying everywhere, and made the story seem rather slow at points, contrasting with the fast pace they seem to be going for. Number 4, Pokmon XD. The sequel to Pokemon Colosseum made many improvements, allowing you to save where you wanted instead of visiting a PC, which could be annoying if, say, you wanted to go fight a boss but didn't want to have to trek through a maze again. Changing it so the AI would not choose its moves after you, say hello to getting paralyzed or put to sleep again. The increased number of shadow moves being made available, and the better selection of Pokemon, primarily towards the end game. Some people feel the game is a step down from Colosseum, claiming that XD's story was less dark and gritty, and bashing it for going back to the child protagonist, but if anything, it's even darker than before. The game opens up with Shadow Lugia, essentially a supposedly unpurifiable, corrupted god of storms carrying away a cargo ship filled with Pokemon, tossing the two sailors manning the vessel overboard, and guess what? We never hear a word about them afterwards, whether they were found and rescued or not. We later come across the ship in the middle of a desert. We have moments like Sapphire impersonating the entire population of a town, while the real occupants are imprisoned beneath the pre-gen. Not to mention Artis and his trying to have you, and by extension anyone still on to the dark when it goes up, killed. My complaints with the game are petty, such as still having to do double battles. It's just a dumb gimmick that I tolerate, and some of the newer admins like Laverna and Gorgon, when Ein and Dakin were more threatening. Mascara can be overlooked since he was imprisoned at the end of Colosseum, but as far as we know, Ein and Dakin could still be out there. Unless they too were arrested when the underground was caved in. But Laverna is less intimidating of a figure than the cold-blooded Ein, and Concept doesn't come off as threatening enough to be the brute. However, we have admins I do like, such as Metal, for pretty much the same reasons I do Tucker, aka, what the hell is going on with that outfit? And the brothers, Eldos and Ardos. Eldos is mostly in Cypher to appease dear old dad and seems to lament the conditions he's forced to face the protagonist under, rather than it be simply to see who was the better trainer. He also comes to your rescue when Grievel is considering giving the order to destroy Citadark. Ardos, on the other hand, remains an unrepentant monster after the big reveal, and when you face him in the Coliseum in the postgame, he gives you a letter that amounts to a threat, telling you Cypher will always be watching. But nothing ever comes out of that due to there being no third game. So I think we all can agree that Shadow Lugia looks cool as fuck. I've heard rumors that Junichi Masuda considers this game a magnum opus, and I'm in agreement with this opinion. Sliding into third place slot, Pokemon Black and White. The more in-depth and character-driven story to the reveal that Ghetsis had been using and all along, to many of the new Pokemon introduced. And yes, I know there are fans who deride this generation for being the one that introduced the ice cream Pokemon, and the trash bag Pokemon, and the chandelier Pokemon. But really, Chandelier actually has a pretty nice design, and while I'm not defending Garbodor or the Vanillite line, it's not like the living toxic blob or Pokeballs with eyes were the pinnacle of creative design. And there were a lot of badass Pokemon introduced, like Hydreigon, Electros, and of course, Volcarona. I don't really have many complaints with this game, even though they leave on a major sequel hook ending. However, as for the sequel, I'm not really fond of Black and White 2. I don't really hate them, but to me it just feels like something that could have been postgame or even DLC. Like several months later, Ghetsis is at it again, this time sicking Kyurem on Unova. And the half of Unova that was unlocked could have been where the postgame takes place. I'm also not fond of B2W2 copping out on the whole reveal that Ghetsis was Zen's father, since it just made more sense to me than the whole randomly stumbling upon some abandoned kid out in the woods. Like, that just begs the question, how did Ghetsis know about N? Wouldn't N have been far from humankind? And then why did N's parents abandon him? Were they just some assholes freaked out by their child's gift? And the fact that B2W2 debunked some really fun fan theories that had been going on at the time, like the Shadow Triad being the Striaton Gym Boys. I figured a good amount of us knew that was unlikely, but considering the possibilities it could have had on the anime, it was just really fun to play with. Another game considered to be among the best Pokemon games, in second place we have Crystal. While HGSS brought in many elements from Crystal, and had several improvements made to it, Crystal will always have a special place in my heart. This one is more of a personal reason. When starting out with Pokemon Yellow, I was terrible at it, taking several tries, even defeating Brock. But by the time I got Crystal, I was getting better and did pretty well fighting my way through the gyms and managing to beat the Elite Four. It was the first Pokemon game I managed to completely beat my Typhlosion Sunny decimating his way through Red's team. It was the first game I got a Pokemon to level 100 on, that aforementioned Typhlosion. It also contains the first full team I got to level 100 each, and is a team I still own to this day. I've had this team on this game since I was 8. And now, we have number 1 on our list. Pokemon Mystery Dungeon Explorers of Time, Darkness, and Sky. Spoilers ahead, but the game is almost 8 years old, so I'll assume you might know this already. As with all Mystery Dungeon games, the gameplay can be slow, but the highly character-driven, surprisingly powerful storyline more than makes up for it. Similar to all other installments in the series, you wake up as a Pokemon in the Pokemon world having amnesia, your only memories being your name and that you were a human before. You befriend a timid young Pokemon with a mysterious artifact, and after said artifact is stolen by a pair of bullies and recovered, the two of you join up with the friendly Wigglytuff's guild, and early on in the story, receives the unsettling news that time is freezing since the time gears, which keeps the flow of time in check, are being stolen. Now the race is on for you, the guild, and shortly later on, the hero Dustmore to stop the evil time gear thief Grovyle, before time grinds to a halt and a bad future takes place. Or so you are led to think. As it turns out, you, Dustnor, and Grovile all happen to be from the bad future. And Grovile and you were embarking on a quest to stop the bad future from ever happening by preventing the collapse of Temporal Tower, an event that causes Dialga to go insane, only taking the time gears out of necessity, needing them to reverse the collapse of the tower, the time stoppage being a temporary side effect before the now insane Dialga stops it for good, before becoming separated under mysterious circumstances. Also known as Darkrai, the real mastermind of everything bad that happens in the plot. Running interference in your subsequent transformation into a Pokemon, and the two of you were later tracked down by Primal Dialga's henchman, Dustnor, whose evil actions are heavily implied to be him being driven by the fear of the cessation of existence brought about by rewriting history. A plot-heavy game that was quite darker than its predecessors, it was a tough act to follow, and while I like all mystery dungeon games, this one has stuck with me the longest. And due to the story, swiftly became my favorite game. If you haven't had a chance to play it, I highly recommend it. Now these were just my top 5, and I hope you enjoyed the video. If you'd like, feel free to leave a comment telling me your favorites below, or what I can do to improve. I've recently started doing scripts, so I've been trying to get better at reading off them. I'd also be interested in hearing what kinds of Pokemon top 10s would be interesting for y'all to see in future videos. See you next time, and Jadazora out.